Alright guys, how's everyone going? So this is lesson 4 and this is your Photoshop introduction. So I'm just going to go through some simple basics today of Photoshop, some sort of interesting tools we can use, and we're going to try and recreate something like this, like you can see on the screen here, some of the examples from Board Panda. So I'm just going to come into Photoshop. So if I come over to my document here. So I've just pulled a picture of a horse from the internet, and like I said, this is what you guys are going to do. You're going to find two animals, one background. You're going to pull this stuff from the internet, and then if you just go to File, Open, then you can drop these in. So what we're going to do is cut out the shape of this horse from the background. Now there's a number of ways you can do this, obviously, but the most effective way I feel for doing something like this is kind of cutting out with a pen tool. Just come over to the right hand side here, and if you select the pen tool there, and just in the same way we use the pen tool in Illustrator, you use the pen tool in Photoshop. But obviously this time, rather than drawing something with Illustrator, we're actually tracing around an object, and then afterwards we'll use these options up top to decide what we want to make, whether it's a selection or a mask or whatever. So if I command plus to zoom in, use the hand tool up to here, and then basically what I'm going to do, as we did in Illustrator, I'm just going to find a starting point. So I'll start here, and then I'm just going to click and drag, and so on and so forth. And remember, if I hold Alt, I can dictate where the next curve is going to go. So like I said, I'm going to do this very quickly, guys, but obviously you're going to take a lot more time than what I'm doing here. So I'll just go to the top here, and then I'll kind of show you how this would look kind of once we've cut this out properly. And again, like I said, remember to use the Alt tool before you let go to dictate where the next curve is going to go. And I'll just leave it at that there. So basically, once you've kind of completed the whole shape, and I'll just, like I said, I won't complete the whole horse here, I'll go on to the next one here, but if I just complete part of it, so like I said, I'm just going to pull that to there, and remember I've got to close off the path, so I'm going to come over to here and think that, so that can be my selection there, the horse. And then all I'm going to do, if I make sure the pen tool is selected, and I come up to here and I've got three options. I've got selection, mask, or shape. I'm going to click selection. Now feathering means to kind of feather the edges, so you've got a kind of, you haven't got a harsh cut, so it's up to you what you want. Now I'm just going to say 0 because I want it to be a clean cut, and click OK, and then basically then you can see now it's selected that area of the picture. And then if I come over to my marquee tool, right click, layer via copy, I've created the cutout in a new layer. So if I just take off this background layer, you can see now I've got that layer there, the horse is now cut out. And then if I come over then to this document here, you can see now where I've cut out the horse properly. Like I said, I've done this very quickly. You guys will take a lot more time than me. So once you've kind of cut out one animal, what you're going to do then is look to cut out another one to combine with the shape of this animal here. So I'm just going to come over to my second document here, which is this picture of the duck that I've got. And again, same options here. If I come over to the right hand side, use the pen tool, and I'm just going to very quickly, again, you'll take more time than me doing this, just cut out the shape. And like I said, I'm not being very precious at this. You're going to take a lot more care than I'm doing. I'm just showing you very quickly. And again, have more control, hold the Alt button. And then, like I said, once that little circle appears, that means close off the path. And then if I click selection, click OK, marquee, right click, layer via copy, and then like I said, if I take off this, I've now got that shape cut out. So what I can do then, if I press Command A to select all, and then Command C to copy that layer, what I can do is come back in to this document here, click Command V, and then I copy in this layer. Now obviously that's a little big at the moment, so if I come to Edit, Transform, Scale, and then I hold Shift and Alt, what I can do then is just make this the size that I want it to, and then I can place it where I need it to, and click enter. And there we go. And as you can see, I kind of put one in here earlier that's a little bit more sort of in line with the shape of the horse there. So I've got my two cutouts done. So like I said, that's kind of the best way really to cut out in Photoshop. There are other options you can use. You can use the magic eraser tool to delete sections of color. You can also use the marquee tool here, which will grab sections of color. Change your tolerance to select how much or how little of the image you want to select, and then you could press backspace to delete. But I think the pen tool gives you the most control, so that's the kind of way that I would really recommend that you guys kind of go kind of forward with this. So there we go, so select off that. So what do I do from here now? Well, basically what I'm going to try and do now is blend in these two layers, and there's kind of a number of ways I can do this really. So the first thing I'm going to do is erase this part of the horse. Now I'm going to use something called masking here, which will kind of really help me when I'm deleting parts of this horse. So if I come down to this button here, and you can see there, click that, what this then does is create a mask. So now, if you come over to the the left-hand side here, I've got two colors here. I've got black and white. Now they're my foreground and my background colors. And what I can do when I've got a mask selected, as I have here, is I can delete areas of the image by using the brush tool, which is here. So like I said, I can select whatever brush I want. I can use a nice feathered brush. I paint over the areas I don't want, and then if I switch it then to white, I can bring them back. So I just come over to layer thing, I make sure I've got black selected, and like you said, I can delete the parts of the horse that I don't want. There we go. But then if I want to bring it back, all I got to do is select to white, and then I paint with white, and then basically then I can bring them back. So basically that gives you a little bit more control than just using a simple eraser. So that basically then, like I said, if you do want to go back in and make some changes, you can add or remove parts of the document. So remember that down there you've got your mask tool there, select that on a layer, and then you paint with black to get rid of a certain area, and you paint with white to re-add. And I can do the same then with the duck here. So if I add a mask and then I paint with black, and I'm just going to bring this down, I can sort of get rid of this area. Maybe I want to bring down the opacity of the brush, say to like 50, so that I'm not getting rid of all of it, I'm just blending it in quite nicely. And again, like I said, I'm not taking much time over this, but you guys are going to be a lot more controlled with this and take some more time. So we're kind of getting there, with this, you start to blend in a little bit more now, but obviously we've still got an issue with colour. Obviously the colour of the horse and the colour of the duck are two different things. So how will we blend them together to get something like this here, where you can see, the horse here is almost green? Well, we can use the adjustment layers to do something like that. And the adjustment layers you'll find down the bottom here. Click this, and we've got a number of options really. We've got brightness, contrast, levels, hue, saturation, kind of whatever you want to do with it really. So it's down to you really to play with these levels and work out what works for you. But like I said, I've got the duck face there, so I'm just going to grab hue, saturation, and there we go. I've got my properties there, and you can see now I've created a new layer called hue, saturation 1. And what you'll find as well is a mask is already added, so that's really good. So what that means is I can apply hue saturation to certain parts of this layer, and then I can add and delete them as I go, and I'll show you what I mean now. Now at the moment this hue saturation, as you can see, is applying to the whole document. Now if I want to just apply it to this layer here, all I got to do is press Alt Command G, and now you can see this little arrow here means it's only going to apply to this layer 1 here. So what that means is now I can use things like the hue to match up the colour the horse, and like you said, that might work quite nicely there. But say for example now I've changed the hue here and I want the beak to stay the same colour. Well, all I've got to do, I've got the mask there. If I remember to paint with black, to take away, grab my brush tool, make sure my opacity is back to 100, and then what I can do is I can re-add the colour of the beak, but keep the kind of skin or the feathers area the same colour as the horse. And I could try something else. Maybe I could come down to here and I could select curves. Curves is always a good one. Again, if I press Alt Command G, I only apply it to that layer. And like you said, then what I can do is I can darken this up, so it's really kind of blending in with the colour of the horse. So you can see it's quite dark. And again, if I don't want it applied to the beak, remember to paint with black, and I can take away what's going on the beak. And again, you know, say I wanted the eye to be a bit lighter, colour that bit, and then like I said, if I want to re-add it, I simply switch to white and I colour back in. So there we go. So like you said, you've got a number of options down here. You know, colour balance, that lets you change reds, greens and blues. You know, your photo filters, your mixers. So there's loads of different things here you can kind of try, play out, apply to certain layers and see, you know, which ones give you the best effects. So once you're happy then with your kind of combination, what you're going to finally do then is add a background to this. So I'm just going to come over to this Luna1.jpg I've got here. So what I'm going to do is put this kind of animal crossbreed that I've got on this moon surface here. Now you see on this picture I've got an astronaut on the surface of the moon, and obviously I don't want that guy there, I just want this to be a plain surface. So there's a great way that Photoshop will allow you to get rid of elements within a photo, and it's called the clone stamp tool. So if I come over to the left hand side and I want this one here, clone stamp. Now what I want to do is I'm going to grab a part of this photograph here and I'm going to drag it over and cover up this astronaut. So if I make this a little bigger, and again if I use the open brackets, close brackets, I can make my brush bigger or smaller, or I can simply come up to here and select a different brush. But I like to use the open brackets, close brackets. And all I've got to do is hold Alt to grab the little section I want. So like I said, you can see now my cursor change, hold Alt and click, and then basically what I'm going to do then is drag this over the top. And like I said, what I've got to do, make sure my opacity is up to 100, and I'm going to make this a bit bigger. So again, grab Alt, click to drag, and then you can see it's pulling from this section and covering the astronaut there. So again, if I click and drag, like I said, maybe this bit now I need to be a little bit smaller because I've got a bit of a colour clash here, you know, click and drag. And you can see slowly but surely I can get rid of the astronaut until, you know, eventually the whole thing will be gone. And once I'm happy with that, then what I can do is I can drop in then this document and drop it over my final piece. And you can see now the astronaut's gone. I've got my combination, my animal combination here. You know, I've added a bit of shadow there, you know, and just, you know, like nothing too special. You know, kind of gone back in, added a little bit more color here. But you can see how there's a really good kind of blend working between the two layers, you know, in the same way that they've blended this kind of lizard face with the back of the horse. Yeah, so that's what I want you guys to do today. You know, you're going to pull two images of two different animals, you're going to combine them together using the cut tool, using adjustment layers, using masking, and then you're going to pull that final animal combination onto a background where you've used some sort of clone stamp tool to get rid of certain things. So that's a kind of really basic introduction to Photoshop. You know, obviously there's kind of so much more this software can do, but we're only going to cover some very simple basics today, and then we're going to kind of move on to some more kind of interesting stuff then as we go. But good luck with that, guys. Have a go, and when you're ready, move on to the next tutorial.